I'm Aaron Polinsky. I'm with the Pritzker Military Library. Today is Tuesday, June the 25th, 2013. I'm here with Mr. Curtis Morrow, Korean War veteran, to tell his stories of service. Thank you, sir, so much for coming in.
Hey, you're welcome. Welcome.
Just to start off the interview, could you just give us a quick kind of background of your life? When and where were you born?
I was born here in Chicago, 1933, South Side, Bronzeville. And I pretty much raised here in Chicago, and we moved to Michigan I was 12. And we lived in lower part of Michigan, called a little town called Buchanan, Michigan. From 12 to 16, 17 actually, and I joined the Army from there. And from there, Fort Riley, Kansas, that's where I took my basic training. That was the 10th Infantry Division, I believe. It's a mountain division, I know. And took basic training there. And from there to Fort Belvoir, Virginia. One of the fields that was open at that time, for me, was demolitions, engineering, and booby traps. I think ground, it covered that course, see.
Right.
And so I was stationed there for actually no more than I think that was a 9-month course. And I was there for probably about 3 months. And that's when we got news of the police action. That's what it was called then.
Right.
And yeah, so we all, 17, 18 years, we wanted to see some action.
Right.
We wanted to travel and all that stuff, So we volunteered. Most of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you have any brothers and sisters growing up?
Yeah, there's 5 boys and 2 girls.
Yeah. You guys were all close?
I'm the oldest. Yeah, we're pretty close. Yeah, pretty, they spread out now. Yeah.
So what was it like being the big brother?
It was great until they started outgrowing me. I'm 5'6", and my brothers just shot up.
Did they?
I said, oh man, I can't boss them around anymore.
Right.
So
Turned out
yeah, it was great. They was all nice, good citizens. I'm proud of them.
What was school like for you in high school?
I dropped out of high school in Buchanan. I think in fact, I dropped out in the 9th grade.
Did you play any sports or anything like that, or just?
Yeah, baseball was my favorite, and track, I liked that too. And basketball was just beginning to surface more or less, but it was really baseball was my favorite, and track. Yeah.
What event did you run in track?
I didn't run in it because, like I said, I dropped out.
Oh, okay.
Into 9th grade.
So you didn't have a chance to try it.
Okay. I never got a chance,
All right. So what was your motivation to join the Army when you?
Travel, to see the world, the adventurous thing, and that was really it. Of course, I promised my mother that she was a single parent by then, single mother, and with 5 children, well, 7 all total.
Right.
So I promised her that I would finish further my education, all the things that mothers like to hear. And so she let me go. She had to sign a consent.
Right.
And I just about did what I promised, especially on the helping out, the financial part with, sending money home every month.
That's good.
So that was my, it was just an adventurous thing for me.
Just
like most of us back in those days, yeah.
What year was it then when you signed up?
That was 1950. On my birthday was the 27th of March, and April the 6th I was being sworn. April the 10th, April the 6th I was being sworn in.
17 years young, huh?
17 years young, yeah.
Was there ever anybody in your family that was in the military?
My brother, he went in, I think around 52, I believe. When I came home on a furlough, then he decided he wanted to join.
Did he go overseas?
He went overseas. He did 22 years, but he was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And he never saw action. That was good,
Yeah. Probably had enough stories from Big Bro to sway his decision.
Yeah,
right?
well, actually, I didn't talk about my experience then because you know, I didn't want to encourage anyone else. They under you know, it's kind of hard to explain to people. I mean, the realities of war.
Right.
They take it like heroic, and you know, everybody, you want to do it, so you don't want to be responsible for some kid
Going out and getting killed.
going out and getting killed or maimed for life or something.
That's
yeah.
completely understandable.
Mm.
Did so you said you went to Fort Riley, Kansas for your basic training?
Yeah, that's where I took my.
What was basic training like for you?
Basic training was okay, you know, but I think there was 6 black, you know, the Army was just still sort of segregated a bit, but the base was okay. But I think we had 16 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
It was infantry basic, right?
Infantry basic, yeah.
Yeah.
And basic training was, you know, it wasn't bad. You know, you get a couple of bullets,
Oh yeah.
and it, you know, but I managed that. It was nice. I mean, it was like,
Was it what you expected more or less, or?
well, you know, they drill you, you know,
Oh
the
yeah.
rope.
Yeah. They run you through the
They
ringer.
run you
that's for
through the
sure.
ringer, you know. Figure, oh, you little guy, we're gonna wash you. But I was determined
Yeah.
to make it, you know, to prove that I could endure as much as the 6-footers,
Right.
you know, and settle it. So,
Would you say that your size had kind of, did it hinder you at all, or did you just?
well, you know, being light, I think I weighed about 100 and, I just made it bad. What's the requirement? I think it was 115 or something for my height.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
was 123 when I joined in.
Well, I think that was the same,
Yeah.
and for my weight,
Yeah.
I mean for my height,
For your
which is
height.
5'6".
Mhm.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was like Boy Scouts. Really, it was like, it wasn't no big old deal, because I didn't take jump training, so it was mostly classroom back in those days.
What were you learning in the classrooms?
Rifle, you know, small arm, and disassemble your weapons, and you know, you slept through. You know, it was kind of difficult to stay awoke, you know,
Oh yeah.
especially during the summer. You know, there was no air conditioning, so you know
Dozing off.
yeah, you
Right.
dozing off and stuff. You know.
So
Mhm.
then, did you volunteer then for demolitions training?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I volunteer for everything. I volunteer the journey service. I volunteer for the demolition because it sounded exciting,
Mhm.
you know. And there I volunteer for a career.
Right.
Yeah, and
What was it like at Belvoir then when you did demo training?
Belfast was okay on the base, but you know, D.C. was still segregated. I mean, you have white on it and black on it. You know, I couldn't understand that because, you know, being born in Chicago and raised, you know, here and
Right.
also Michigan, I couldn't really understand it. So, you know, I just, you know, you walking around, damn, what's this all, you know, stuff. But
Was it something of a
one of the
culture
good
shock for
parts
you?
about D.C. was, you know, at that time you could just walk in and walk around, you know, tour,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the White House, I think I remember going there, and they have a certain area that would be roped off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the area that the president would probably, you know, their quarters. And,
Right.
you know, you may see Secret Service, you may see one or two. They probably see us, but, you know, it was free. There was no barricades.
Mhm.
And, you know, you could just roam around. Of course, that was a tour.
Right.
You know, but
What were some of the things that you were training on at Fort Belvoir?
just demolition, and, you know, we did some with C2, the explosives like
Mhm.
C2 and
Mhm.
C4, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
They are probably completely obsolete now. And it was mostly demonstration. And they wasn't trusting us with, you know, we get a chance to feel it and,
Right.
and explain about truces and things.
Did you get to blow much stuff up when you were at
We didn't get a
training?
chance to blow up anything.
No?
there.
No Bangalores, nothing like that?
No. Mm-mm. It was mostly like a classroom, because I didn't finish the course.
Because you volunteered for Korea?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I had finished, you know, more advanced, they probably would have. But when, you know, career started, that was, you know,
Did you ever have like any flamethrower training or bazooka training or anything like that?
bazooka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, they introduced the bazooka 3.5, I believe it was, in Korea, once I got to Korea. But it didn't work too well because in the terrain that we were fighting in, you know, it's mountains. So if you're going to fire a bazooka, you know, you need space behind you. You're shooting straight up, so that back blast was
hit you right in the ground.
And then they throw pebbles and, you know, to your guys behind you. So it didn't work. I didn't have any. I was a rifleman all the way.
Okay.
All the way, yeah.
So when did you heard about Korea when you were at Fort Belvoir?
Yeah.
What were you doing? How did you find out about it?
You know, we was on KP. I don't know if you still have KP duty or not.
Oh, yeah.
But we had KP duty. It was about, I think, about 5 or 6 of us around a barrel with peeling potatoes, you know. And I think I was the only black in that group. No, it's another guy. 2 blacks and about 4 whites were, and Mexican Americans. You know, we sitting around, and someone brought up the subject of Korea, the police action, and it sounded interesting, you know. So we all began to question this guy. So then we made some inquiries on it, and we found out about it. And so it was a group of us, you know. We went to the school battalion command. I think he was a major. And he broke it down to us. And because, you know, we had to request a transfer.
Right.
Going through that. So he really, in fact, this guy was like, he was the Second World War veteran.
Okay.
And,
so he was a seasoned
you know,
combat
he
veteran.
said he was a lieutenant, if I recall, you know, going back 60-some years, right? But he tried to encourage me to pursue sign writing because I had some an introduction to sign writing, you know, printing signs and so forth.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
In civilian life before I joined. I liked art. I was, you know, at an early age, and he said, well, why don't you? The military need sign writers, you know, people to, you know, do signs and I said no. I thought he was trying to talk me out of it, you know, yeah. So he, you know, he didn't, that was it. So that was the way, that's how I heard about it. And so actually, I think they lost that class. You know, I don't know how, I can't recall how many of us that was taken. Because most of the guys, that was our chance of, if nothing else, going overseas.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I had a change of heart about demolition anyway then, you know, because I saw you only get one mistake.
That's it.
And yeah, so that was a good out for me. I imagine it could have been for the others. But then the adventure, that was the overwhelming reason for going there.
So how much time did you have in between Korea or between finding out about Korea and actually going to Korea?
Hey, I had 8 days coming.
8 days?
Yeah, furlough time, because, you know, I hadn't been in long.
Right.
So I went home. I had 8 days, like I said, and I couldn't stay 8 days. You know, I was just on pins and needles. I wanted to go, man.
Right.
You know, I had more orders. So I think I stayed home about 5 days. And I just told my mom, I said, Mom, I want to go, you know, so I just left. And, you know, so it was actually 5 days. And from there, I went to, you know, Camp Stoma, and from Camp Stoma to Korea.
Was that on the West Coast, right?
Yes, on the West Coast. Yeah, Camp Stoma, yeah. And I probably was there maybe a couple of days. I don't recall exactly. And from there to Japan, Camp Drake, and they outfitted us up, fitted us up and everything. And I probably was there for, I don't know, things was real hot in Korea then. I think that was a little bit, that was right after the Chinese entered the war.
Yeah, okay.
So they
That's
were
after
really,
we were pushing north, and then the Chinese were starting to...
The Chinese had just came over. Right, you're right. We were pushing north, and the Chinese came across the border. So they was in need. So I arrived in Korea, December, I never forget this date, December the 4th of 1950.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the United Nations was in full retreat.
Yeah.
And we went around the peninsula and landed in
Incheon, right?
Incheon.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the Marine Corps, they had been through about probably no more than a month before, and they pushed north.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember it was right after the Pusan perimeter, I think is.
Right, that's where I joined them at. I think we were like 8 miles north of Pyongyang.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what was saying goodbye to your family like before you headed out?
They didn't know. We never heard of Korea, so
Mm-hmm.
I probably didn't mention it to her. No, I can't recall even to my family, to my mother. I had no idea what I was getting into anyway. Right. And she didn't either, didn't any of us, and family members. And even most people had never heard of Korea before.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't hard. Then once I got there, I was right home, and because I never mentioned, just the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to tell
Mm-hmm.
your family.
Yeah, you don't want to be scaring your mama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she don't know. She wouldn't know what to do anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What? When you got to Japan, was that when you were put in the 24th, or was that
No.
until you got to the line?
Japan was, we were there about a week, because that gave me a chance to take off and go to town,
Mm-hmm.
And I was put in the 24th in Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Gulf Company or weapons, right?
George Company,
Yep.
2nd
Or George.
Battalion,
Mhm.
1st Platoon, 1st Squad. And that's where I was there. I stayed with them during the whole 9 months there, yeah.
Yeah, I read your book, and it was the detail was impressive, and it was such an easily flowing read.
Mm.
It wasn't written down to any level or anything like that. It
Yeah,
was just
you
that
know.
I guess someone being a veteran or whatever, I can kind of understand the lingo too. But
Yeah.
it was incredibly straightforward.
Mm. Yeah, well, it was written from the viewpoint of a private.
Right.
What was that? I think my field of fire was like a rifleman, right? Platoon level,
Mm-hmm.
squad level, and platoon, probably the company. That was like my range.
Right.
So I'm relating incident that occurred, for a private soldier,
Mm-hmm.
just an ordinary infantryman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the unit like when you got there?
The unit was those guys had already been through hell, because they was among, the 24th Infantry. I think they was about the 2nd unit to arrive in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 24th Division, if I'm not mistaken, was the 1st. So, they got wiped out. So a lot of times people get us confused with the 24th Division.
Right.
And so we were with the 24th Regiment,
Of the 25th.
of the 25th Division.
Right.
And those were some, I never forget the first time I met them, they were, like I said, we was about 8 miles north of Pyongyang.
Mm-hmm.
And we got on our clean uniforms and shiny boots, just from Camp Drake,
Just looking brand new.
Looking brand new, clean rifles and everything. And by the time I got to my outfit and squad,
Mm-hmm.
those guys was in what used to be a school, but I recall there was about 3 walls standing, and that was it, right? And those guys was hurtled around the fire, it's like 25 and 30 below zero.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a little fire in the center, so they asked them, we telling them about the latest happenings in Chicago,
Right.
about that, Count Basie, jazz, we talking about what was happening in the city. And all of a sudden, I would notice those guys as they were talking, they would reach under their what do you call it, cap?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their knit cap.
Winter cap, yeah.
Mhm.
And they would pull out something and drop it in a tin can that was sitting in the middle of the fire.
Right.
And curiosity, what's going on? What's that? It was lice.
Lice.
You know, everybody was infested with lice. You know, and you know, you get around a warm a fire somewhere where it's warm, then they start moving around. They lack the hairy areas, you know, the between your crotch and so forth.
Man.
And so I mean, they was at a miserable state. You know, like they've been wearing the same clothes for. Probably at least I got there like in December, so I think they went up north there when Chinese came. I think it was around September. So that's like at least 2 months, right?
Same clothes.
Same clothes, yeah. You know, and be lucky if you have a pair of a change of socks.
Right.
And so that's the way. That's the kind of, you know, they was like a, you know, they was like a look. You could, you know, you drop a toothpick and, you know, everybody's at attention, you know.
Getting sticky hands, getting excited.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you know, you're so alert, like, yeah. So the sixth sense kicked in on them long before. And so that was the kind of environment, so they began to talk to us. It was 3 of us that was assigned to George Company. 6 all total, you know, to the platoon.
Right.
And 3 of us made it back. And 2 in, you know, and all together, I think 1 lost his leg, the lower part. And so they would tell us, you know, give us different hints and, you know, about what to do, what not to do. And
kind of bestow some battlefield wisdom upon you.
Right, yeah, you know.
What was your leadership like? What was your leadership like?
The leadership was, okay, the leadership was white. The platoon leader up.
Okay, so all white officers?
White officers,
What about the NCOs?
NCO was black, sergeant, all the NCOs was black, Afro-American. And at that time we were called Negroes, of course, you know. But the leadership was, if I had to do it over, I'll follow those guys. I mean, they get emotion. Even the lieutenants, which are Lieutenant Hale, I'll never forget this guy. He would say, all right, men, let's go. And that's something he would take off first.
Headlong into battle, right?
Yeah, he would do, but you know, he had to drop back afterwards, you know, because he got it. But they were leaders.
Yeah.
You know, by then, in George Company, they had washed out the biggest, you know, those, at least they were old guys anyway. So the oldest guy in my outfit now was company commander. I think he was 29 years old, either 26 or 29.
Yeah.
That was the captain. You know, so you got 17 to 29 year old. So, and the regiment commander, I can't recall his name, Corley, I believe, C-O-R-L-E-Y. Yeah, yeah, they was warriors. I mean, we didn't call each other warriors, of course.
But you respected him silently.
We all respected him. Yeah, he was gun-ho. Most of the officers, by the time I reached the outfit, was really good. Used to go in and get drink, you know, and we followed orders. You know, you always got some slackers, but
I know there was talk like early on in the Korean War about some of the units, you know, being slack or like retreating.
Yeah,
not standing
bugging out.
their ground.
Yeah.
And I know it took a while for the 24th to kind of gain recognition as an actual like hard charging unit.
But you know, the confusion came in too was the 24th Division.
Right.
Like the general, I don't know, what was his name? Walker Dean, the one that was captured as a POW. He spent about 3 years there. Well, they caught the full
brunt of
it when they came in. They just, and plus they went in first, so they was in the Pusan perimeters, and along with the 24th Infantry Regiment too. And you know, their next stop would have been Japan Sea. I believe that's on that side.
They got pushed all the way to the sea.
Yeah, they had pushed them all the way out. They were.
Did you guys ever feel like you were ill-equipped at all during the time?
But you know, by the time I got there now, December the 4th, no. But now in the beginning, you know, yes, because they thought everyone was under the assumption that it was a police action.
Right.
So you got guys going over there in their Class A uniform shoes,
Oh.
dress shoes.
Yeah.
And they were ill prepared, period. And of course, in the 24th, there was also some units that was ill prepared. But when I got there, we had shoe pec, you know, I don't know, you familiar with that one? It's like a winter boot.
Okay. Is it like the white rubber boot?
Yeah,
Okay.
similar. Not, it's sort of similar to what they're wearing now, you know. But it was, you know, they could keep your feet warm
Right.
as long as you're moving around.
Right.
Okay, so, hey, in my company, in my outfit, no, I never felt ill-equipped.
Had plenty of bullets, plenty of weapons?
Oh, yeah, I never.
Lots of hand grenades?
Yeah, I never ran out. I never
That's
ran
good.
out of ammunition. Yeah.
I know it'd be kind of a bad feeling to be, you know, headlong into a battle and
Oh,
all of a
wow,
sudden you
that's-
just run short.
Yeah. Or your rifle jam.
Right.
Oh, gosh, you know.
So you said you wrote home a lot, right? How did you spend some of your downtime when you were over there?
Yeah, but you know, yeah, I wrote home, but probably on average once a month,
Once
I
a month,
believe.
okay.
At least. Sometimes maybe, you know, depending on how much, like you say, downtime you get. But we was pretty involved. Like, I recall on the front, 67 days.
On the front line?
You know, there's no time to pull you back.
Right.
Just for, what was that, 3 days, the reserve.
Right.
You know, just give you a chance to get deloused and change a uniform and a shower, you know.
After 67 days on the line.
Yeah, that was the longest. And on average, it was like 30 days. We
Okay.
get a chance to be pulled back at
So
least.
roughly you would spend about a month on the line. What were you doing while you were on the line mostly?
Most of the time we was fighting patrols. We was fighting because that time the Chinese, they'll be on their offense, and then it's defense, defense, offense, you know. So it was like back and forth for, hey, 5 or 6 months, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like continuous. You know, we attack during the day. Now we're in mountains, right? And they'll counterattack at night because we had control over the airspace. And but they had the manpower.
Yeah, they
And
definitely had bodies, that's for sure.
they had bodies, and they used them. I mean, you saw them every day, every night. You know, I mean, you know, at night it's kind of difficult, but
What was it like fighting at night in Korea?
you see the muscle blasts of the weapon.
Was there?
That's about fair and shadows. You know, sometimes they would run right by your position. You know, you so focused in on your front.
Did
You
find
could
yourself
smell each
surrounded
other. We
many
could
times?
smell each other. Huh?
Did you find yourself surrounded many times?
Fortunately, no, but pushed back. Yes, yeah, but usually I understand later on I found out that they usually surround you anyway because you're on a mountain.
Right.
So, you know, they're going to circle around that
Right,
mountain.
cordon off the mountain.
Yeah, cordon off the mountain top, you know.
You guys use like a bounding overwatch to get out of there if you had to?
Yeah, you know, but then we had a blocking force, which would probably be called like, I don't know, we couldn't call them, but there was a blocking force, you know, in the lower area. You got your the roads or trail going through there, so there usually be some of our guys there, you know.
What was fighting in those mountains like? What was the terrain?
It was hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're going up there, sort of remind me, I don't know, Afghanistan look a bit mountainous too, but only, they usually let you get at least halfway up there. Sometimes they let you get 2/3 the way up. So, you know, you're going up this mountain, right? So you get about right here, and they come out of nowhere. They dug in,
Right.
and they just throw everything they got at you. So that's not a good time to retreat because your back is completely exposed.
Oh, yeah.
So after a couple of a month, I'll just say a couple of months, could be sooner, you know, you are battle weary, so you know, so it's up to you, like old timers is what they call us, you know,
Yeah.
to try to school the new guys, the replacement that come
Yeah.
in, you
I
know.
was going to ask, how long was it before you felt like you were battle hardened?
I'll say at least a month,
Yeah.
probably a month, because I saw it actually matter of fact, the first night. Yeah.
When you had your first contact with the enemy?
Yeah, that was a direct contact, the first night, yeah. And we was the army, like I said, we was in retreat, but the 24th was, in a blocking position to give the guys that was, further north chance to get back, get back.
What was that first month like for you then?
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah?
I couldn't. I thought it seemed like a nightmare. Man, I got somebody pinch me, one of those things. This is nothing like the movie, like John Wayne. These people are crazy. They're killing you.
Yeah.
All that goes through your mind. But, your only chance of surviving is firepower, teamwork, and keep up.
Yeah.
Keep up, because nobody got a chance. They're not going to go back looking for you, stragglers and so forth. You're going to lose a whole squad to rescue one guy.
Yeah. Would you say your size had something to do with your success?
I was so
over there?
glad on my size. The smaller you are, the smaller the target. That's when I first got it. Yeah, and you wish you could reduce your size down to the size of an ant.
Right.
It's like walking into a hornet nest, with bees all over you. You say, you just say, well, the hell with it, man. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die a soldier.
Die on your feet, right?
And I'm going to die like a soldier. You just man up. That's nothing. After the crying is over with, you say, damn, I wish I had, I should have listened to somebody. I should have stayed at school and all that. Then you realize that.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of time for careful reflection. You just gotta go.
No,
first.
you just have to do it.
Yep.
You just do it.
I just did an interview with a gentleman last week who was a Vietnam veteran, and he was attacked first day in country, and he said early on he just came to the conclusion, like, there's probably a good chance I won't make it home, and that's the only time I'm gonna think about it. And now I'm just gonna do my job.
Right.
So you think maybe you've got more of a clear head. Because you're not thinking about back home, or you're not thinking about your mom, or living or dying. You're just thinking about accomplishing the mission.
Yeah. You really get focused. Like that was mine, and I think that was most of the guys too. You just so focused on where you are and what you're doing, like every minute of the day. Even if you're sitting around shooting the bull, you're still thinking about. What would you do if? It's just like that. Like, what would you do if all of a sudden you find, say you're on a patrol or something, and all of a sudden you just see 4 or 5 guys of the enemy soldiers. You just, damn, they're like 8 feet or 10 feet from. What would you do if? Would you surrender? You have to think about it. It's just like driving a car.
You always got to be 10 steps
right,
ahead.
What would you do if you have a front wheel blowout?
Right.
You wouldn't throw your hands up.
No.
You want to try to control that vehicle.
You'd want to make sure you close in on the enemy and take them out.
So you have to make that decision, because you only got a split second
before they
to do it. Yeah. And 10 to 1, they're going to kill you anyway. I mean, maybe they lost 3 or 4 guys, or their guys, or their people, just before they engaged you.
Right. So they feel the same way about you as you do about them.
So it's like, it's a hard, especially if there are no officers around.
Did you guys always have some solid NCO leadership when you were out doing your patrols and stuff?
Yeah. Wait, repeat that.
Your non-commissioned officers?
No. Did we have any? It depends on the size of the patrol. Like a platoon patrol, yes, we usually have a lieutenant, platoon leader, or his second, platoon sergeant mostly, and for squad leaders then.
Did you have like corporals for squad leaders, or? Yeah,
I was like, I guess you might as well say I was squad leader most of the time, assistant. You try to avoid rank.
Right.
Not just because you don't want it, it's because guys come in that morning and then you hit something during the day and they're not there, so you say, gosh, you feel sort of responsible for them not making it through a fight.
Right.
So, but the oldest member of your squad, he's like in a leadership role anyway. So So I was point for quite a few times.
Yeah, I read in your book
Always
there
point,
was a couple of
yeah.
times where you were out walking, 10, 15
Yeah,
meters
I
ahead
don't
of the
know.
unit, and
Yeah.
all you had was your walkie-talkie and your weapon.
And
your
then
wits.
yeah, sometimes they not even a walkie-talkie. I think most of the time just on some patrol, if they insist, because you never know, that walkie-talkie could go off
Right, give away
at
your
a
position.
time that you don't want it to be going off, And you know how they sound, crack, like
Yeah,
you can
a
hear
lot
them
of
a half a
crackling.
block away, they're cracking a bit. So I never.
Aside from the border attack that got you, wounded and brought you off the line, did you have any close calls out there on the battlefield?
I had a lot of close calls, but the
Any
only
ones that
time was
stick
some
out in your mind?
strapping ones. Huh?
Any close calls that stick out in your mind?
Oh yeah, quite a few. Those guys are so slick. I'm talking about the enemy. Without the Koreans, North Koreans, and the Chinese. They just pop up. Like you as alert as you are, but all of a sudden you see a head and a rifle or a machine gunner. The Sub Thompson. They like. So it's like instantaneous. And usually on a patrol too, you make contact, right, and then you pull back and get that position.